Well, thank you guys so much for having me. We're going to talk about the brass tacks of making a business case for your community. So you guys, maybe you can help me a little bit here. So tell me, with a show of hands, how many people have recently gone to your managers, your bosses, your CEOs to make the business case and get more budget for your community? How many are about to do that? And how many just did that and it was like super successful and awesome? Great. How many people were like, wait a second, how do I do this better next time? All right, fantastic. So just a little bit about me. I have been a community platform software entrepreneur for the last 12 years. I founded Mighty Bell, and before Mighty Bell, I founded a company called Ning. I have raised a lot of money for community platforms, and I've also closed 6- and 7-figure deals for communities and for social networking software. And so what I want to share with you is what I have been seeing in the last couple of years, and specifically even in a couple of reviews that we've done in the last 6 months with our customers, our large customers, startup customers at Mighty Bell, and what we are learning. So coming back to first principles of a business case, why would we do that? What is the benefit? I know it seems pretty rudimentary to say this, but it's always great to start with, what does it mean? Well, it means a greater investment in your community and your team really results in your ability to kick more ass. And so if you can tie the ability to kick more ass to either how your community increases revenue for your company, or decreases cost, or if you're with a not-for-profit organization, how you are able to more closely and effectively impact your mission as a result of your community, good things can happen. And so the rest of this talk is just going to be about how do you and how do we make the case for communities such that they increase revenue or decrease costs. At the end of the day, as a community professional, it is your job to connect the dots. And one of the biggest mistakes that I regularly see is the focus almost exclusively by community professionals on the softer side of community. The sort of a belief and ability to say, it makes our customers feel good. When you're sitting on the other side and thinking about investing more money into a community, it has to be more than that. And so let's talk about what that means. So in my experience, and this is for a couple of deals that we have recently closed, what have we seen is the reason someone writes a bigger and bigger check for investing in communities. One is the ability to drive deeper engagement and longer retention amongst your company or organization's most important people. And the retention piece is super important and the engagement piece is super important. Both of those words have really come to mean something sort of touchy-feely. It's really critical to put some data behind it. And we'll talk about what that looks like in a little bit. The second thing is that a community can generate that is a strong business case for either increasing revenue, and I'm going to stay focused on increasing revenue because there's always more budget when you are increasing revenue versus simply cutting costs. And that's a really important thing to keep in mind as we have found kind of over and over again. But a community and the conversations that you are scaling with your customers, with your prospects, with your most important people is generating really interesting conversations, which actually is really interesting data and insights. And so if you can tie your community to the insights and data that is going to help you as an organization make better, more well-informed decisions, then that is something that is going to open up and unlock more and more budgets that then you can make your community more and more valuable. Lastly, anything that you could do potentially to enable your community itself to create new revenue streams for your company or organization, don't shy away from it. We've seen, for example, the ability to run premium classes behind a paywall in a community. or the ability to offer a VIP access to some exclusive or preview features or functionality. All of these things can tie more and more value to your community that then you can turn around and reinvest in creating a phenomenal experience for your members. A few other things that I have heard as direct quotes in meetings where large investments have been made in community and community building. One is this opportunity to own and not rent prospects or customers. So when you build a community on dominant platforms, for example, where you don't actually have access to, email addresses or other things that actually make a head of marketing or a CEO feel like they have full access to the prospects or customers, that is something that you can address, and you can look at and say, hey, if we want to actually own our market, if we want to have access to our market, investing in a community really makes a lot of sense. A second thing that we have seen used very effectively, and I bet every single person in this room used this in the successful community business cases, but it's this ability to tell really compelling stories of specific customers, specific prospects, specific people that you had a direct and immediate impact on because they're in your community. And so those types of stories and storytelling, when you can take snapshots and send those around regularly, that is a really effective way of reinforcing the business case. It's not sufficient on its own, is our experience, because a CEO or a head of customer success or a head of marketing can look at it and say, well, that's just one, but it really brings it to life, and it's something each and every one of us in this room has as an opportunity. One of the most precise ways to talk about the value and the benefits of being a part of a community, one of the things I see often that I think has become almost a genericized word is engagement. So it's like, oh, but we're engaging our customers in this forum or in this community. I want to encourage each and every one of you and us, and we certainly have learned this the hard way, and when we started to see it work, we've really doubled down, which is the benefit of a community to the members of that community is not just engagement. It is the support and encouragement and learning from other people like themselves in pursuit of being able to make better, more well-informed decisions about their practice, about the use of your product, the ability in a marketplace, for example, to be really effective and successful. And this language is practical and it works. So anytime you can use the term members can make better, more well-informed decisions about X, Y, or Z, it is extremely effective in making the business case for your community. One of the other reasons we're seeing, again, executives looking to invest in community, and why I agree with the energy of really a renaissance of community and community value, is the data that is generated from communities. So if you are today using a platform or using and building a community where you do not access the data within that community, it is a lost opportunity, because the insights, the data, what your members are talking about and what they are doing and want to do together is a competitive advantage of your community to your business or organization, and it's something that I would encourage each and every one of you to embrace. This is the nuclear option when making a business case for your community. I have never seen this not work. How many people have actually used this in making the business case for their community? All right. I think if anything comes out of this conversation, I want to see, when we follow up next year, twice the number of hands. Because the reality is that today especially, as people have more and more options for where they can spend their time, and it is in a mobile world, you're in one app and not another, your opportunity to build the dominant community for your target market, for the people that you serve, is a competitive advantage. And when you do it, your competitors are not going to have the same ability to go and build the dominant community, the dominant network for the people that are most important to your company or organization to serve. And it's incredibly exciting, and it is incredibly important right now. So, really quickly, what did I miss in terms of things you guys have seen work in making the business case for a community? Wait, I got them all? How is that possible? Well, please tweet, tell me during Q&A. I really want to hear other things that you guys are seeing that are successful, because these I've seen work incredibly well, but it's certainly not the end. Or the exhaustive list. So moving towards the kind of reality of, okay, now we've made the business case. How do we actually build it in practice? What does it look like in the wild? What are the things that I have to do to be able to show that the things I said in making the business case for my community actually work in practice? And from a metrics perspective, I think the days that we can look at total number of members in a community are over. I think that is unfortunately increasingly a vanity metric that has helped get to a certain point, but at the end of the day, the metrics that you need to make the most effective and compelling business case for your community look a lot more like what people are seeing and what people are looking for in terms of actual engagement. That really is active users, active members in your community, and more importantly, how you are growing monthly active members month over month. So if that is a trend line that is up and to the right, if that is we even look at it sometimes as just the raw number and maintaining a raw number of monthly active members and then growing that over time. And as we look at what the best leading indicators are of monthly active members, we see the following. The percentage of active members who are contributing. So if you think about it, in a network, as members contribute, email or mobile notifications are triggered, bringing in more people back to then respond or contribute. That is the loop you want to get. That's the engagement loop that is so incredibly important. We see today that those engagement loops are anywhere between 10 and 20 times more effective on native mobile apps than they are on either the desktop web or the mobile web. And that leads to what percentage of members who are on native mobile. And if you guys are looking or thinking about your native mobile solutions, whether that's as simple as using a Facebook group, that is really where the world is, and the world is increasingly going to go. The last one is actually something that's a hard number to get, but we see it's the direct correlation and causation to monthly active members, which is who has notifications turned on. So things you could do in your community to encourage people to download the native app, to turn on mobile notifications and push notifications, and then to also encourage people and encourage in your own engagement strategies and the way that you do community management to reinforce that for the people in your community. All of those things will help drive monthly active members and value to the members of your community, which then is going to make your ability to go back after making the business case and showing real success and real results so much more effective. Lastly, the three things that we see over and over and over again that really matter in 2016 and 2017 for making the strongest business case and adding the most value from a community perspective to your company or organization: native mobile over mobile web or desktop web. Again, it's not realistic for everybody, but it certainly is something that we see, even if it is, again, Facebook groups using Facebook groups mobile app, that's critically important. accessing the data in your community. If today you are using a solution that has a black box, that is a lost opportunity for you to be able to unlock more budget for your community and the ability for you to invest more in your members to enable them to have a phenomenal experience, which is certainly the reason why I think a lot of us are here. And lastly, don't shy away from a business model. The more that you can directly tie your community to generating revenue or cutting costs, but really generating revenue, there's always going to be more budget for generating revenue than cutting costs. There's something really compelling about that. And that's all I got. So I'm looking forward to talking to folks about their business case and your business case and what we can learn from each other as a community of community professionals from here. Thanks.